Hey guys, it's Vince and Drew with Power 5 Fanatics, coming at you with some takeaways after week 12 in college football. So, unfortunately, Drew, the college football season is starting to wrap up the regular season.
Yeah,
And I know we hate that, and it just, that's how life is. Things are going on. You wait and wait and wait. It's kind of like Christmas, and then you open the gifts, and that's kind of where we're getting at. But we still got some great action coming on. We got the rivalry weekend coming up. I guess that'd be next weekend. We got some big games this weekend. Things are starting to pan out a little bit on where things are going to end up. There's a I'd say the handful of teams that are really going to need some. Besides just needing some help, I'm talking about mainly Alabama and maybe Oklahoma. Okay, 2 1-loss teams.
yeah,
Alabama's obviously got a much better loss than Oklahoma does. And that's why they're ranked higher. They're ranked at 5. That being said, they're both going to have some help, and they're also going to have some style points to get this thing going. And what I mean is, let's take Alabama, for instance. They're not going to have that 13th game, the championship game, the way it looks at this point. So,
yeah,
without Tua, they're going to need some big wins. I'm talking about they're going to have to start pounding some people. Not winning by 7 or 10 points. They're going to have to start. This become a beauty pageant is what I'm getting to, and they got to look really good. And then they're going to have some help because they don't have that 13th game. They need chaos. They need Utah to lose, and then to beat Oregon in the championship game for the Pac-12. They need Minnesota to go on some kind of run or something. They need some shake up there at the top.
yeah,
Oklahoma, a little bit different. They are going to have the title game, if everything ends up the way it's looking it's going to. But they really need style points. They still got the 13th game. It's probably going to be against Baylor, but they can't beat Baylor by 3 points. In the title game, they need to beat them by 3 touchdowns. And then they're probably still going to have to get some help because the one-loss Big 12 team is not looking that good right now. So what I'm getting at, there's a lot of teams. Minnesota would be another one. It's become a beauty pageant, and it's not just winning games. It's how you look doing it. One team that doesn't need style points would be Clemson.
yeah. One of my takeaways this week is I'm starting to put Clemson back in that top elite group. For a couple weeks there, it seemed like it was, Ohio State and LSU kind of up here. And then, right below them, you had, Clemson, Alabama, Georgia. For a while you had Penn State there and potentially Minnesota and Baylor. Well, this past weekend, we had Clemson's just continuing to look dominant. I know they haven't really played anybody as far as, their strength of schedule. But what do we always say whenever, a team has to play another team that isn't as good? Well, you got to beat them, really, really well. And they've been doing that. They played Wake Forest, I believe. Absolutely pounded them. I think it was like 52-20 or something like that. So they're just really starting to kind of, put it all together on offense as well. And that was kind of our question mark was in the beginning of the season. Their defense, had to replace a lot, with the losses they had to the NFL, their defensive line specifically. But they've got so much depth back there that they've been able to kind of rebound. The offense was the reason that they were kind of lagging behind and struggling
and that's
against
come
teams.
around. Trevor Lawrence has been playing great.
Yeah, and Trevor Lawrence had a great game this past weekend. So if they can get all that, to start to kind of come together, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're pretty much a lock at this point to make it. Now it's who are they going to play, and are they going to be able to beat who they play? So I kind of have them in that top group at this point.
Yeah, and they don't. All they really just need to do is win Clemson at this point.
Yeah.
Because things aren't going to change a whole lot. But it goes back to my earlier takeaway, and in some of the other contenders like Oklahoma, they just got to be able to beat people bad. They can't have the game that they had against Baylor on every week coming out because they're not going to. It really is a beauty pageant. As opposed to other sports like the NFL. The NFL doesn't matter. You win, you win. And college football matters a whole lot the way you look doing it. And it's just the nature of the game. The great thing about college football is you got the week-to-week, must-win situations that you have, and the anxiety that the fan base will have at times.
Yeah.
But you also got to look good doing it. It's just a different sport. But speaking of Oklahoma, they are going to have that challenge, and Alabama too. It's just begin to think. I don't, and without some help, I don't see how they're going to get into that top 4 spot unless there's a bunch of chaos. Speaking of a league that could produce some chaos, would it be the Pac-12, and it's all set up for them. Oregon or Utah, one or the other.
Yeah, at this point in the season, and this is our final takeaway. The Pac-12, they're in prime position to make a run here at the playoffs, and just looking at it as a fan of college football, it looks like the committee actually values the wins of the Pac-12 more so than the wins in the Big 12.
Yeah.
The reason I say that, they've got the one-loss teams in the Pac-12 ranked higher than the one-loss teams in the Big 12. Part of that,
Part of it is Oregon's loss was not bad,
and it was in the beginning of the season. So
and Utah's loss wasn't bad either. It's looking a lot better because it was USC, as opposed to the Big 12, where Oklahoma losing to Kansas State. But
and the other thing on that is it goes back to the, this is all about pageantry. College football it's a lot about style points, the way you look doing things, and when you do things. And Oklahoma, they were ranked really highly and had themselves positioned to, be in the playoffs. But since they lost a few weeks ago, just a few weeks ago to K-State, they haven't been able to really rebound. And
no, they're winning games, but barely winning, and they're not looking. Their defense isn't looking the way it was.
Yeah, and Baylor, they were a 10-point favorite, against Baylor, even though it was on the road, and they beat Baylor, but they didn't really.
It was ugly.
It was. They had to come back, and it was an impressive win, honestly, for Oklahoma. But it's not.
It's not
it
what
wasn't
they
what they
needed
needed to try to get back into the game. They're still definitely in it, but they need some help. They, like I just said, they need the Pac-12 to kind of eat itself over the next couple weeks.
Speaking of chaos, this is one more takeaway that I'm going to throw out there. USC, pretty much everybody's been writing them off since September at some level. They'll lose, and they'll win 2 or 3. They'll lose. What are they, 6-3 now? They are in the
7-4, I believe.
Are they 7-4?
Yeah,
okay.
they've already played.
Well, anyways, they can still win the Pac-12 South, and I don't think a lot of people don't realize that. So, we think it's going to be Utah and Oregon, and it's probably going to, but. That you talk about chaos. If USC wins out and somehow is able to win the Pac-12 South, that would shake some things up. So that's something that some of these other teams are hoping happens. So well, guys, appreciate sharing time with us. Like, subscribe, share. Let us know what you think in the comments. Maybe your takeaways from Week 12 of college football, and hit the notification bell because we'll have more videos. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.